This is Katie, co-host of Coffee with Keith and Katie. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
What's up, everybody? This is Christian Heimel, host of Press Row here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Press Row, where we talk about the biggest issues in sports with the analysts, experts, and reporters who cover them. No nonsense, hard-hitting interviews on the sports topics you're talking about. A new show comes out every single Thursday. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of Press Row. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
One of the greatest challenges in life is being yourself in a world that's trying to make you like everyone else. Good morning. Welcome to Choose to Rise. Welcome to Public House Media. Let me read that one more time. One of the greatest challenges in life is being yourself in a world that's trying to make you like everyone else. I am so glad that you're here with us this morning. And if this is the first time that you are here with us on Choose to Rise here on Public House Media, I want to welcome you. I want to thank you for pushing play today. I want to thank you for joining us here on the live video. I come live here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday here on the Public House Media Facebook page, and it gets dropped into a podcast version that comes out the next day. So I am so glad that you're here with me, and that you, if you love this, if you enjoy this podcast today, if you enjoy this episode, I hope that you share it to your social media and you tell other people about it. And then it would mean the world to me if you would rate and review the podcast in Apple Podcasts or wherever you consume this podcast. I just appreciate you so much being here. That increases our exposure, and it increases the people who get to hear and be a part of Public House Media and Choose to Rise. And I am so honored and blessed that you are here with us. So you can also hit subscribe and make sure you get it every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday when it comes out, as well as joining our Choose to Rise community on Facebook. I try to pour in other content of love and support and healthy habits that happen there. And then, you can follow my journey there as well. And if you're really interested in getting into some healthy habits, I hope that you connect with me and join us in our Together We Rise group. I am so proud of the women that are in there. They're all pushing play on an amazing workout program. They are all drinking and eating. They're eating well. They're all improving their heart sets and their mindsets and supporting each other with all kinds of positivity. And so it is such a powerful group, and I'm so glad that they've chosen me to be their leader. And we're all working on improving our hearts and our minds together. So again, thank you so much for being here, and let's just kind of get rolling. One of the greatest challenges in life is being yourself in a world that's trying to make you like everyone else. And today we're going to be talking about self-awareness and how it can really help us become more confident in who we are. So what is self-awareness? What is all of this stuff that I'm talking about? Well, have you ever had that feeling where good morning, thanks for joining me. Have you ever had that feeling where you just don't feel like you fit in? And maybe it's at work, maybe it's a new group of friends, maybe you're really trying hard to impress somebody specific, and you give part of who you are up to be like who they want you to be. At the end of the day, it just doesn't feel right. At the end of the day, you're like, you know what? That's really not me. That's really not how I think. That's really not how I behave. That's really not how I want to dress. But we oftentimes try to fit ourselves into the norm of what other people want us to be so that we feel like we are fitting in or that we are doing them justice. And really, if you think about what self-confidence is, it's knowing who you are, owning who you are, and loving who you are. So that sense of, I want to be like them, I want to be a part of their life, really should be flipped around to, I love who I am, and I love who I want to be, and who God made me to be. And because He's created us all as unique individuals who are all here for an individual purpose. So if you've ever felt like that, if you've ever felt like you've conformed to somebody else's idea of what life should be like, then you didn't really feel like yourself. And I'm guessing your confidence kind of went downhill when maybe even after trying so hard to fit into who they wanted you to be, you still weren't enough. And that's because you weren't trying to be you. You can never live up to the standards of somebody else. You can never live up to the expectations of somebody else. You have to own who you are and become being self-aware of who God made you to be and the purpose that He's created you for. Will not only help you match the inside to your outside, but it will help you create some inner wisdom that will help you stand for something bigger. It will help you live your life for meaning something more. Self-awareness is the most important quality any woman can have, any person can have really, but women especially. We can focus our attention on ourselves. We can evaluate and compare our current behavior to our internal standards and values and really know who we want to be, who God's created us for. And knowing and understanding ourselves is powerful because it helps guide us to live our best life. It helps us improve our self-awareness, helps improve our confidence, and it helps us direct our path as we move forward in life. We did a series in church in the last couple months or so that talked about getting to know God in turn gets to know us. And as we get to know us, we're getting to know Him better because He's created us in His likeness. And when we can get to know who He wants us to be, then we can start aligning ourselves with that path and that mission, and we just get to be in our best life. And that's really what we're all about here at Choose to Rise, is rising up out of our current situation and living our best life overall. So self-awareness is really knowing our internal norms, our preferences, our resources, and intuitions. Self-awareness is also having the ability to accurately monitor our inner world, paying attention to what's happening inside our brains and happening in our hearts, and accepting these thoughts and these emotions and reactions as inevitable parts of being a human. Rather than giving ourselves a hard time about it, we need to remember that we have an inner critic inside of us, that we have, two rails that we're riding on all the time, happiness and sadness and joy and scarcity. And the more we can focus on the other, that we are going to always ebb and flow back. But the more we bring ourselves back to the positive, the more we're going to be able to stay there. Self-awareness goes beyond collecting information about ourselves. It also goes beyond paying attention to the outer world. It's really about focusing in on what's in your heart and what's in your mind and working to restore the positivity there, working on, being a reactionary of hope and joy and giftedness. For example, if you're if you were stung by a bee and feel pain, your brain will condition itself to see a bee again. You'll be afraid of it. On the other hand, if you were afraid of public speaking but successfully presented on the topic before, your brain will be saying, hey, that's not so bad. That's not so hard. I know when I first started doing these podcasts, when I first started going live on my own Choose to Rise page, and then Baxter from Public House Media heard and was like, hey, come over here to the podcast. I was like, all right. I was really nervous. I was really scared. But when you just hit that start button and you're live and you can just go with it, it just works, right? And I'm not always perfect on here. I'm not always, I know that. And I don't always strive to be perfect either, because perfect isn't a thing. And I have enough self-confidence now from doing this over and over again and knowing what my strengths are, knowing what my weaknesses are, and working on improving both areas, my strengths and working on my weaknesses. I can become aware of my inner works and start to work and grow my skills there. And that's how self-awareness, being aware of what you need to work on, what you're good at, what your strengths are, what you are made for, and then, working on your weaknesses too, so that you can become aware of those things. Because if you are aware of it, you can work on it. And we often say, if you can track it, you can attack it. So if you're aware, if you're able to monitor your emotions and your thoughts, if you're able to, keep your thoughts and your ideas going in your head in a positive direction and keeping focus and getting clarity on the things that you want to have in your life, you're going to be able to increase your confidence. You're going to be able to increase your self-awareness, and you're going to be able to increase the projection of where you're going in your world today. Studies show that almost half of the time that we're operating in automatic pilot. We are unconscious of what we're doing and how we feel. As our mind wanders to something else other than the here and now, we think about it. So the last time you really paid attention to while you're brushing your teeth, or the last time you really paid attention on how you got home from work, or the last time you really paid attention to the things that you just autopilot activities in the day where we need very little brain power to make decisions. We just do them because we've always done them. And so when you start thinking about what you're doing and what you're saying and what you're accomplishing in the day, you can become more aware of those kinds of things. And then you take action to be able to do things differently. So, let's kind of get into like how you can improve your self-awareness. So if we want to be more confident, we have to learn to be more self-aware. Self-awareness helps us become at peace with who we are and better manage our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotions, and our reactions. Self-awareness is the foundation on which we build confidence because it separates the real from the perceived. And if we truly understand what's real, instead of believing false things about ourselves, like, telling ourselves we're fat or ugly or unable to do this or unworthy of that, like get rid of those thoughts, right? Start talking about your truth and who you are and who God's created you to be. A perfect masterpiece, a beautiful creation in His name, in His likeness, right? He never makes mistakes. God does not make mistakes. He created you perfectly for this situation and this life and this world. And when you believe that over the other things that the world is telling you, you will have so much more confidence in who you are. If we truly understand what's real, what's inside of us, what God's put there for us, and instead of believing the false things about ourselves that the world has kind of spun up around us, making us compare and being different with everyone else, we have a better chance of being confident. So how do you improve self-awareness? The first thing you can do is to practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is simply paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in a present moment, not judgmental, with an open mind and open heart. It can just be kind of that factual, like taking emotion out of it, and this is what's happening. It sounds easier than it is, but try this, okay? Make a list of all the activities you do on autopilot, like showering, driving to work, eating sometimes. Then throughout the day, make a point to pay attention to those activities as you do them. What do you hear around you? What do you see? What do you feel? What do you sense? If your mind wanders to another thought, bring it back to the activity at hand. And bonus points if you write down the experience, okay? The more you can be aware of what's happening in your world, the more you can make changes to do something different. You can build your mindfulness and habit with meditation and journaling as well. These are two great ways to improve your focus because both activities force your attention to one thing at a time. Meditation helps you improve awareness by keeping track of your wandering thoughts. You can meditate with a guided recording. You can focus on just breathing. You can try to empty your mind. I love actually doing a journaling activity because it's kind of that brain dump of what's going on in my head. I can get down on paper. And it also helps me process my thoughts and be more connected to what it is that I'm thinking and doing. Writing can also create more headspace because I'm just dumping it all out. Whatever is in my head is flowing out into that paper, and I can go back and reflect it later as well. The next thing to improve your self-awareness is to ask for feedback. I know it's super scary to ask people for help, but you only grow from stepping outside your comfort zone. And so think about all the negative beliefs that you have about yourself. Think about all of the things that you maybe have thought about or your experience in your life that you feel like have brought you down. Now, write some of those things down. Like maybe you think you're a terrible parent. Maybe you think that you're not good at your job, or maybe you think you're overweight. Maybe you think that you aren't confident to do the certain things. Write down the belief. Then do two things. One, overcome that confirmation bias by disproving that belief. Like write the evidence that shows that you are capable to do your job, that you are a good parent, that you are confident in who you are and who God's made you to be. And then also ask for feedback. So the second thing you can do is ask others about that. Now find a confident, or not necessarily confident, but well, yeah, that would work too. But find a good friend that is going to be honest with you about these things. And maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a best friend, maybe it's a coworker at work that you really trust, and ask for feedback. Feedback doesn't have to mean a particular skill or activity. You can practice asking for feedback by simply asking your friends and family what your best strengths are. Maybe you give them a list and have them provide evidence. Maybe you just ask them what your best skills are, what your strengths are. Maybe you are just asking them wholeheartedly, like, am I like this or am I like that? It's up to you, but ask for feedback. Other people usually have a good handle of who you are, sometimes better than we do, because we have this misconstrued concept of what we see and what we are. So I prefer to kind of stick with positive tones and pick positive people in my life that want to help me improve. I have a huge community of people around me that I've kind of embedded myself into that is here for me in the thick and the thin. And so they're there to call me out when I'm not doing things right, and they're there to help me and support me and build me up, help me think of things that I can use to improve my skills to be a stronger person on the inside and the outside. And speaking of one of my strengths, my favorite tips to build self-awareness is to take a personality assessment. So, there's lots of different options out there. You can do Meyer-Briggs, you can do the Strengths Finder, you can do lots of different options, but I really encourage you to do some sort of assessment and really kind of figure out more about who you are and how to handle situations. And there are a lot of free versions out there of all kinds of different assessments, and I've taken lots of them. We've done different ones for how to interact with people, different ones that help you understand a little bit more about yourself individually, your personality, those kinds of things, why you do what you do. And then the more you become self-aware about things, the more you can learn about what you're good at, what your strengths are, and what you can work on. So the whole thing is really just about developing a picture of who you are, taking an inventory of your false beliefs and practicing mindfulness. Start building a stronger picture of who you are and who you want to be, identifying those personal values and developing a personal mission statement. Those are two great ways to improve your self-confidence. Understanding your strengths and your values helps us form a strong picture of who we are and it can own who we are. And that picture of confirmation bias is super easy to overcome when we can know who God's made us to be. And we can always handle our future better when we can take more calculated risks and have better decision-making skills when we know, who we are and who we want to be. Now, the Gallup company is an amazing researcher and company, and they have tons of great information out there. You can get the Strengths Finder report, and you can do things that way, or you can do any of the free ones that are out there as well. But understanding our strengths gives us a new language for understanding and discussing what we naturally do best. The more you can learn about it, the more you can adjust, the more you can improve how you respond to certain situations, and you can basically just keep moving forward in a positive way. Creating that personal mission statement helps set clear boundaries by the number one tool you can use to make tough decisions on. Is this taking me closer to my goals? Is this aligned to what my values are? Is this going to pull me away in a different direction that the world is seeking? Those are when you can come to every situation, every decision and know and align yourselves and walk away from the things that are not a part of your personal values and walk away from the things that are not a part of your goals and your missions. But if there are always things that people are always going to try to put their agendas on you, people are always going to try to put you in their path because that's going to make them easier for them. But when you can understand your strengths and name your core values and craft your personal mission statement, you'll be for sure be able to make better choices, better decisions that are going to help you move towards your greatness and what God's created you for, and not always working on someone else. The greater self-awareness leads to greater self-confidence, and being deeply aware of who you are and what you value and what you're good at are the key foundations for building confidence and making it a habit. Because when you make it a habit and you can make it part of that unconscious activity where you're just confident in who you are and you know who God's made you to be and you love who you are on the inside, it will always show on the outside. It keeps us out of that low state of confidence and it gets us higher up where we can live our life in our best way. So when you deeply know yourself, you can differentiate between the truths and the lies in your life, and you can live in a better way. So I'm so glad that you joined me this morning. I feel so blessed that you pushed play today, that you joined me on here on this live video. And I hope that you come back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday to be part of Choose to Rise. And I hope that you send and spread this out to other people and get us more exposure, and head to Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and review. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much to Public House Media and all of my editor and everybody else that makes this show happen. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Thanks so much. Bye.